Kwame Alexander, the author of various children's books, most importantly, The Crossover. Kwame Alexander was born in Manhattan, New York in 1968. Kwame Alexander is known as a poet, an educator, and a New York Times best-selling author for 32 books. Kwame Alexander, growing up in Manhattan, New York, was surrounded by the sports environment. He made 3 sports books called Booked, The Crossover, and Rebound.
The Crossover was published in 2014 and it won multiple awards. It is a fictional basketball story with 240 pages inscripted inside. In 2018, Kwame made a similar story, but instead it was in the man's point of view, learning to play basketball. The title was created by Kwame taking the basketball move, crossover, and comparing it to the characters crossing over from boyhood into manhood.
Josh Bell, the main character of The Crossover, has the passion to become a professional basketball player like his father. However, with many family incidents and mixed emotions, Josh is torn from the game mentally and physically. However, these conflicts and issues lead to Josh being closer to the game than ever.
The uses of direct and indirect metaphors in Josh's basketball rules tell the reader on how life and emotions are constantly changing.
One lit term that is used in the basketball rules is direct metaphor. In the text, it states,
"In this game of life, your family is the court and the ball is your heart."
These direct metaphors have significance by explaining where Josh stands with his family.
In basketball, players dribble the ball around the court. Josh's heart is constantly switching back and forth between his family members.
He is constantly changing the person in which whom his heart lies with.
Some days he may love a certain family member, but other days he may despise them.
This is common in boys turning into men, because boys always have mood swings, and this happens all the time, and this is why I'm getting like this.
Direct metaphors provide deep meaning in Josh's life, and they all have a meaning that represents his current state of life.
Oh hey, didn't see there. The second lit term used in the basketball rules is an indirect metaphor, which states true champions learn to dance through the storm. In this case, the storm is Josh's father's death, and when a team keeps dancing in basketball terms, that means a team keeps going through the tournament.
Just like making it to the next round in a basketball tournament, Josh needs to get to the next stage in his life. The indirect metaphors were chosen because they provide even deeper meaning than direct metaphors, because they are not directly given to you. People can learn that through times of grief they must get through hardship. These two lit terms, direct and indirect metaphor, not only provide writer's voice in the context of the story, but they also provide deeper meaning. The deeper meaning in each one of these lit terms lets the reader know how Josh is feeling at the current state of moment. Each basketball rule is at a different point in its time, and if you line them all up, you can see how his mood constantly changes each time.
The recurring theme in The Crossover is that people must learn to face hardship and continue living without grief. This is important in today's society because with all the mass shootings that occur, people need to adapt to getting through complete sadness and to continue living out their full lives. One day, someone loved may die because of a shooting. That cannot be stopped. The death of a loved one can crush someone's soul and change them completely forever. Although this can destroy someone's heart and mind, they must eventually brush off the sadness. And they must learn that it is important to proceed to live their full lives in a joyful state. The direct metaphor shows the emotion within Josh's heart, while the indirect metaphor shows the struggle within Josh's mind. The direct metaphor gives the reader the knowledge of where Josh's heart lies, which is around his family. All done.
This can build sympathy in the reader when they later find out that Josh's dad passes away. After seeing how much Josh explains in his basketball rules his respect and love towards his father, it makes the story even more devastating in the end. The reader imagines Josh getting home, seeing tears roll down his mother's eyes, and wondering what happened, only to be told that his father is dead. Also, the indirect metaphors explain Josh's emotions after his father's death. This creates a thought in the reader's mind, which makes them question how Josh will move on and if it will be easy. Tears slowly running down his eyes when he sniffs and mourns while he is lying on the surface of his bed. He creates thoughts and images inside his head of his father still being there for him. It's not an easy stage to get out of. However, Josh finally starts to understand his father's death and their lover and caretaker. He can start to move on in life, and if a boy who loses their father moves on, then anybody can move on.
The main character of the crossover, Josh, writes his basketball rules to help the reader understand how he is managing to live out his life, even when it is filled with hardship. The hardships throughout the book could teach the reader a meaningful lesson about how your family should not be an adversary, but a teammate, someone that you will help and someone that will help you. Alexander, the author of The Crossover, also shows how hard somebody's life could be away from someone or something that they love. A real-life connection for a hardship could be Kevin Durant when he tore his Achilles in Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Kevin Durant wanted to come back from his injury so badly that he went out onto the court under bad conditions. He was not ready to play, and he wanted to support his team in every way he could.